So I've decided to open up the gates at the Tidefall Castle. But it's not like I can walk up to it and say, "Open Sesame," and it's gonna open up. There's actually a challenge involved in it, and it's not an official quest. In order to open the gate, you need to activate 5 obelisks throughout the Tidefall. 4 of them will require a specific exotic fish that you can only catch in its designated area. The 5th one requires a sparkling dripstone that you can actually get as a trash item from pretty much anywhere in the Tidefall. But before we go ahead, don't forget to like and subscribe so I could continue wasting my time on these type of challenges. So as mentioned before, we need to catch 4 of the exotic fishes. We can find them each in Collapsed Ruins, Crowned Ruins, Coral Bastion, and Sunken Reliquary. But it's not like you can go to one of those areas and the fish will be there. To get them to spawn, it actually has to be a hunt. At the start of every new day, there's a 1% chance that a hunt will happen. You never know which one it is and in which area it will spawn. But there's a trick to make them potentially spawn a little bit faster. That trick is called Sundial Totems. Keep in mind that at the time of filming this, the disturbance stat was still not available on any of the rods and it wasn't implemented. So you had to use these cheap Sundial Totems and keep spamming them for that 1% chance. I started off by getting my dripstone appraised to sparkling, which I caught randomly in the Sunken Reliquary while completing one of the quests. It didn't take long, and that was the first obelisk complete without the use of any of the sundials. And this is when I decided to keep a rough count of how many sundials have been used to catch all of them, so we'll see them in the corner. Now I got pretty lucky, as on my 4th sundial used, I got a Plesiosaur to spawn. As you'll see me here, I arrived at the Collapsed Ruins and I couldn't even see it at first, because for whatever reason, the hunt area does not get indicated. I saw it sort of turning around just underneath this rock, and I thought maybe I could get it to show up with the radar. But as you'll see here, at the time, and I still believe it hasn't been fixed yet, it does not always or ever properly indicate for the hunt area. Each hunt only lasts 10 minutes, and as you'll see from the clip here, I did manage to get it to hook in like the last 40 seconds. However, I was having a really difficult time actually catching the fish. Long story short, I didn't get it, and I knew something had to change. So I got piercing for some slashes. 36 sundials later, we got our first Reef Titan. I didn't use any bait, and as you can see, I already got it hooked after just a short while, so I'd say it was a pretty easy hunt. You can also already see the slashes taking place and how much of a big help it is, in addition to the Glorp Blade passive, which from time to time gives you this massive boost in progress. And that's our first exotic out of the way, back to spamming Sundial Totems. 56 sundials later, we got yet another Reef Titan, and this was probably the point where I decided to start counting how many sundials will it take me to get all of these exotic fishes, because as you'll soon learn, getting the same exact hunts happens pretty often. Almost 50 sundials later, I got excited thinking I got another fish that spawns in this general Tidefall area. However, as I later learned, it has a 0.25% chance to spawn, and it actually spawns behind the castle gate that we're trying to open. So here's a sad clip of me trying to locate it, and it's obviously not here. Now you know. After spamming only 27 sundial totems, I finally got a unique, an Omnithal. Looks pretty badass, managed to get there. Once again, used no bait and got it to hook pretty fast. This one probably was not as challenging as the Reef Titan, but again, I don't know if it was to do with my rod having the extra slashes or due to its passive. I think it ended up being my most commonly caught exotic throughout this whole challenge, you could say, because I did catch multiple ones and I even skipped a few. 59 sundials later, I got really excited because we got another unique, or so I thought. It turns out it's the ancient variation of the Goldwraith, which however is not an exotic, because if you remember, to activate the obelisks in order for the castle to get open, you need to catch exotic fishes. This happens when you get a chance for an exotic fish to spawn, there's an additional 10% chance for it to be an ancient. What I didn't know at the time was that if you think that this is enough to activate the obelisk, you're sadly wrong. You need to catch that specific exotic fish, an ancient one won't do. That meant I'll need to catch another Goldwraith just to activate these certain obelisks. At this point, I had to buy more Sundial Totems because I kept getting Omnithal to spawn. But at some point, like 200 Sundials in, I got random Goldwraith to spawn. And this time, I was lucky enough that it wasn't an ancient one. I did end up using its preferred Sapphire Krill bait just to be sure I caught it. And I was only one exotic fish away from unlocking the castle gate. Looks promising, right? Another unique? Nope. That's the one that spawns with a very rare chance that's behind the castle gate. Next up, I got an Omnithal, and I think I decided to catch it. Then I got a randomly super lucky to get an Ancestral one, which I couldn't even catch, and I didn't even have footage of it. And lastly, at 706 dials used, I was recording an intro to this video actually. That's why it says I'm AFK, because I'm tapped out recording the intro. And I got a notification that a Plesiosaur has spawned. So I did end up catching it. I did use the shark head bait because that's its preferred bait. I believe it was winter time and that's its preferred season. And I'm 99% sure I used another Sundial Totem just to switch it to nighttime if it wasn't already, just to make sure that I 100% caught it. Let's get the Unchaining these obelisks. First up is Sparkling Dripstone on the white obelisk. Next up is the Plesiosaur on the orange/amber obelisk. Right after we got the purple one that takes the Omnithal. Then we got Reef Titan on the baby blue, light blue totem. And lastly we got the Goldwraith on the golden totem in the collapsed ruins. After that you'll get a message that will say that you hear the sound of something opening. And then just make your way to the Tidefall Castle, and surprise, surprise, the gate is no longer closed. Inside, really can't find much. I mean, there's no secret rod or anything like that. This is where the hunt is supposed to spawn. And aside from the golden crab cages, you really can't find much here. However, the worst part comes from the fact that even though I'm playing this edit on the latest update, which means that we now have the hunt disturbance stat for our rods, it doesn't really affect this area. That means you have to get the hunt to happen from the sundials. As you can see here where I'm trying to fish, that literally nothing happens. So was this a complete waste of time? Maybe. Does it still mean that I'm not done with using my sundials? Absolutely yes. Will I try to catch the fish? I'm not sure. Thank you. Now, if you watched this far, you deserve a little secret. I did get multiple duplicates of pretty much each of the exotic fishes and some ancestral ones. So make sure to subscribe, drop a like, and a comment with your Roblox in-game name and the fish that you're still missing. And I'll pick through some of them and I'll give you one of those exotic fishes so you could actually unlock the gate yourself.